All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're finally tackling something that has completely taken over our comments section. You asked for it, so we investigated. We're about to put a very popular, and honestly, a pretty mysterious voice changer app to the test. So let's see what's really going on.
Seriously, this entire explainer started right here. We saw this comment over and over and over again. You were all so insistent that we test this specific app for the game Free Fire, so we figured, okay, let's go track it down and see what all the hype is about. And you know, the whole thing got weird from the very beginning. The first thing we did, naturally, was to check the official Google Play Store. But the Abox voice changer was nowhere to be found. We actually had to go digging through a Google search, which led us to some, let's say, less than official third-party websites. That was our first clue that something here was a little off.
And this is where the red flags really started to fly. Just look at this. A typical voice changer you'd grab from the Play Store is pretty tiny, right? Maybe 20 to 25 megabytes. But this Abox app, it's a massive 280 megabytes. That's nearly as big as the game itself. So you've got this huge size combined with the fact that you can only get it from unofficial sites. Yeah, the alarm bells were ringing.
Let's just pause on that number for a second. 280 megabytes. An app that large for a simple voice changer? Come on! That size suggested it was probably doing something way more complicated under the hood. To be honest, this huge file size is what really made us think, okay, we have to test this thing now.
So, with the app downloaded from, well, an external source, it was time to move on to the installation. For this test, we got it running on a Techno Spark Go. Let's walk through how you set it up and see what other surprises were waiting for us.
The setup itself was not exactly straightforward. You install it, you grant it permissions, and then you hit step 3 here, select voice changer on apps. Okay, we picked Free Fire, and that's when it did something really, really strange. Instead of just applying an effect, it started to completely clone the game.
So what even is app cloning? It's pretty much what it sounds like. It creates a second fully functional copy of an app. So Abox doesn't actually touch your original Free Fire installation. Instead, it builds a whole duplicate version that runs inside its own little bubble. This is a super unusual and complex way for a supposed voice changer to work.
And this brings us to the biggest question of all, doesn't it? Is this even safe for your account? Think about it. By running a cloned version, you're interacting with the game in a way the developers never, ever intended. Could that break the rules and get you banned? It's a huge risk to take before we even know if the app does anything at all.
Okay, so the sketchy setup is complete, and we have a cloned version of Free Fire all ready to go. It was finally time to test it out. This is where we find out if all those risks and that giant file size actually lead to a working voice changer. Let's see what happened on our first try.
We launched the cloned Free Fire from inside the Abox app, and absolutely nothing. After a quick loading screen, the app just closed and shot us straight over to the Free Fire page on the Google Play Store. It was just an immediate and kind of confusing failure. And just to make it even worse, trying to do anything on that Play Store page it sent us to just triggered this app not responding error. So yeah, our first attempt was a complete dead end. The app didn't just fail to launch, it basically crashed the whole process.
But you know us, we weren't giving up that easily. That whole cloning process had actually created a second, slightly different Free Fire icon on our home screen. So for round 2, we figured, hey, let's bypass the Abox app completely and just try launching this cloned version directly. We had to see if that would work.
And this attempt was, well, a little bit more successful. I mean, the game actually launched and took us to the loading screen. But that's as far as we got. We just sat there and waited, but the game was completely frozen. Just stuck on that screen forever. No amount of restarting could get it to budge.
So after a bunch of failed attempts and running into several huge red flags, it was time to call it. Let's break down the final verdict on this Abox voice changer.
So here's the bottom line. First, the app completely failed to work on our test device. Second, the absolute farthest it ever got was a frozen loading screen. And third, and this is probably the most important thing, that app cloning method it uses is a potential security nightmare for your game account. For all these reasons, we absolutely cannot recommend this thing.
And I think this slide pretty much says it all. Despite all the hype from the community, that massive file size, and the super complicated setup, the Abox voice changer is a total bust. Mission failed.
So, the Abox mystery is officially solved. But remember, this whole investigation was fueled by you guys, the viewers.
And that leaves us with one last question. What should we investigate next? Let us know down in the comments what apps, tech myths, or weird software you want to see us put under the microscope. Thanks for watching.